listened to this book called How Emotions Are Made.
That's on
The
my list.
author talked about we construct emotional concepts because
Mm.
the classical way is fear is, and this is fear, and then there's, but she's saying it's individual.
Yeah.
We have concepts, and it's a bit like, in Tagalog
Mhm.
there's gigil. It has an equivalent in other languages. It's
It
very
doesn't. No.
Filipino.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Oliver Damian. How are you?
It's been a while.
It
Good.
has. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, time flies. It's like every time we do this podcast, a couple of months go by.
It feels like years. And I always find it weird when people ask, how are you? If you answer it honestly, it's hard to answer because
It is. Yeah.
everything's happening at the same time.
And interestingly enough, it's always that response, the automatic response is good. And it is the tone of the good. Oh yeah, it's good. Oh, it's good. It's good. Like, it's interesting how like you have
But if
to
you
really,
actually go, do you really want to know?
yeah, do you actually want to know?
Do you have half an hour of your time to listen to really know how I am?
Do you want to, do you want to spend your energy on actually hearing about XYZ, or do you actually just said that automatically? Like
Is it
it's
just a greeting, or is it a real request for information? Or
yeah. Just even on that topic, right? So I just remembered listening to Dandi Pandi. Have you heard of him?
No.
Okay, so he's a monk. He was born in Australia, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but then he moved at the age of early 20s, and he became a monk, and he lived in the monastery, and then he is now an awesome entrepreneur. He talks about the study of focus and attention and energy, essentially, and you can't really create energy. Anyways, why I'm bringing this up now is because he talked about, like, when you go up to someone with energy vampires. So he talked about energy vampires are people that really, I think we spoke about this a couple of podcasts ago, but he talks about energy vampires, and all they do is suck the energy out of you, and they don't really, add any, positive emotional value towards you. And so he talks about this as examples, like when you see someone and that you know that they're an energy vampire, instead of saying, hey, how are you? You don't really answer that question. You're like, okay. You answer it back, well, hey, it's a great day. And you sort of like don't really say, how are you back? Because if you ask them how they are back, you're already inviting them to say negative and, negative stuff, and really start that process of sucking that energy out of you, So it's interesting.
Great.
We can put it in the show notes if you want, but it's a great talk.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That sounds. I actually practiced that recently because I attended this it's like a 7-week, no, not 7 weeks, 7-day container.
7-week container.
7 days. No. That's
Okay.
That's a Freudian slip for the future, because there is a 7-week container in New Zealand.
Okay. So what did you do in the 7 days? Sorry?
It's like they're trying to bring back the temple arts back in the day, where there's initiation. Yeah. It was perfect. Like, I hardly say some trainings are perfect, but this one felt pretty much perfect to me. Like
and what constituted
the facilitators were good. They held the space. We were like 108 people together. It's big.
Oh wow.
But able to hold it, and I was really in this space, and it's pretty shamanic, and yeah, I don't really want to talk about the details, but I just want to share my experience overall, because it's hard to talk about it, because maybe in the future you want to take it, and I don't want to spoil it for you. And also there's a sequence, and I can't just pull one talk about it without the whole thing, you know. And also it's impossible to describe these things because
Yeah.
it's not like it's not like a logical thing, you know. It's not like you can write it. I mean, you can write about your experiences, but you can't really convey it because it's very much in the body, you know.
So how did you feel going in versus at the end of the experience of those 7 days? Did you feel like a massive change, or is it sort of, you know?
Yeah, it's still cooking. That's another reason like I hardly go into the deals because I think it's
still processing it. Yeah.
going through my system. Even before it started, I felt this it's like energy coming down and just I think this can help the world, and it's growing. It's with ISTA, and it's going big in the world, and it's so diverse. They have things running in Israel, in the US, in Europe. Yeah. So yeah, there's something about.
So how did you hear about? How did you like? What was the action point that made you want to do it for 7 days?
Well, I've been.
Was it curiosity, or is it like?
No, I've been active in conscious spaces, and most of the people I interact with have done it, and they keep telling me about it.
Yeah.
And I keep ignoring them. And I said, no, I don't have the money, I can't afford, you know, the usual blah blah blah. But then I felt this one was special, so I put myself on the waiting list. Apparently there's a long waiting list, and like a week before the thing started, I got the call from the organizer, and I said, I'm fishing you out from the waiting list. This is the golden ticket. Do you want it? And I told her, give me 30 minutes and I'll ring you back. And something just yep. You know, when the body knows, not the calculating mind, the body just said yes. And then the call came in while I was doing this room attendant job at the Holiday Inn in Potts Point. I was doing the Duna. And then this ring, and then boom, and then I went to this boom. Just it's so good when you make decisions like that. Like,
yeah. Let's hold on a minute there. Okay, so last time we were speaking about our goal is the goal, and
okay.
But let's talk through that experience, and then how it inevitably led you to an experience like what you just said right now, like working in a hotel. Yeah, I reckon we should go down that path.
Digest that.
Yeah.
So I think last time I think one of the title of our episode was goallessness.
Yeah.
And you know, we both do experiments, and I've been experimenting with that, and I've now modified it a bit. Instead of describing it as goallessness, it's not being attached to the outcome and not expecting reciprocity.
Okay, so you're not really getting attached to the reward that we sort of
or the outcome.
Yeah.
And also, if I do anything, I'm not expecting whoever receiving that to give back.
Does that mean you fall in love with the process more? Like the journey is more important than the outcome, essentially, the experience that you go through?
Were there's few ways I could say things about that. Yeah. One is there's I don't know if I sent you, I wrote something a while ago. It's from FOMO to Funktionslust. So fear of missing out we all know what that is. Yeah.
Working in the marketing space, I know that.
Yeah, and it's attached to the outcomes, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have the Gucci watch. If I have it, it doesn't matter how I got it or like money, as long as the results. It's a bit like the protest thing. Like, I read somewhere that it's a bit weird that in the Protestant work ethic, how did that happen? When, according to their belief, if I got it right, is everyone's saved, but you just don't know who. And somehow they link that if you're wealthy, then God must be favoring you So then you're saved, and that forced this people like the Americans or the Europeans who started the Protestant Reformation to be good at earning money, because if you're rich, it's a sign you've been you're the saved ones. It's an interesting
That is.
quirk. That's why it's a lot of people who built America are basically Protestant people who was escaping from various places in England. They were really like the Puritans. And,
Yeah, I see. Okay.
So that's one. From FOMO, and Funktionslust is a German word where doing something for the love of doing the thing. So if I'm doing this with you because I like talking to you.
Yeah, you desire it, right?
It's
you
not
get
because we're doing
it.
this because I'm gonna sell you a course or it's marketing. Doing the thing. Stuart Kaufman talked about this thing. Let me try it with you. So where do you live?
Wait, sorry, could you repeat that? Your network bandwidth is a bit low, Oliver, so I missed that last 5 seconds.
Yeah, where do you live?
In my house, in my home.
In Sydney?
In Mount Druitt.
Yeah. So let's say Sydney, Greater Sydney area, right? So if you have a screwdriver in Sydney,
yes.
Can you tell me all the uses of a screwdriver?
All of it? Like objectively speaking, I can use a screwdriver to fix parts of my car, fix my chair that's wobbling right now. Anything that has a screwdriver, essentially. I could also use it to, sell it to people. I'm not sure which avenue you're trying to get from that. That's so
sort of the. Do you know how many uses? Because you could use it to stab someone. You could use it to for fishing. you could sell it. You could.
Oh no, okay. Well, it's infinite, isn't it?
Is it infinite though? Because when you say infinite, there's a formula. You know, like pi is infinite because when you divide the
possibilities.
So if it's infinite, you know it's infinite because there's a formula that results in non-repeating. For example, with pi, non-repeating decimal places.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But there's no formula. Is there a formula for the number of uses of a screwdriver in Sydney?
Then that's just saying, is there a formula for how like subjective your mind can be? Because it's only the number that puts in your head. You don't know, because it's as the the idea comes out. It's sort of like, what can I do with this screwdriver? Like, I don't know, but it just comes out of my brain, my conscious.
No, but this is real uses. It's not like, so that's why I ask if you're in Sydney. Let's say you're in outer space. The uses of the screwdriver there will be much more limited, right?
Yeah.
So the context.
Okay, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. So what he's saying is the use of a screwdriver is indefinable at the start. You cannot define it when you start it.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas things that have formula, let's say the formula of, is it velocity? Like mass times acceleration or force, F equals ma. You could define it. That's why engineering, you could compute, even if before you build the bridge, you can actually compute the stress.
Yeah.
You can predefine it. You can
predefine it. You
compute it in the plans.
Yeah.
Because there are formulas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But with this kind of thing, it's until you do it, you can never know.
Yeah.
And that's how he calls it the adjacent possible. But it's not like everything's possible. Because you can't, for example, you can't use the screwdriver to time travel. So there's limitations.
Oh, can you?
It's not free for all. It's not random. Context come together, makes things possible. It's a bit like the internet made Tinder possible.
Yeah.
or YouTube possible. The TCP/IP enabled all these things.
Yeah,
Without the internet, we wouldn't be doing this. Or
exactly.
it could be another technology, but when you do something, it enables a lot of other things, and it just keeps on growing.
It's a
And the reason I'm
compound.
saying that is, yeah, unless we do stuff, I cannot predefine. I think it's an illusion to say I'm gonna predefine the outcome, because if I do that, then I limit myself to this adjacent possible that's happening as I move through what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
That's interesting.
Does that
Because
resonate? Does that resonate? Because
yeah,
sometimes it's hard to convey
I,
sometimes.
I like to sort of put that example, for example, like your even what I'm doing at the moment, I'm trying to get outside of my comfort zone, right? Like, and then what I know
Mm,
is what's limiting me essentially. In order for me to,
mm,
Jordan Peterson talks about this in his book Beyond Order, even in 12 Rules for Life, an antidote for chaos. He talks about the twin, right? You need enough order in your life to make sure that it takes that chaos, and then same vice versa. But if you're too comfortable with what you're doing and your routine, or like if you want to learn something new, that's why it's so good to have a beginner's mindset. Because if you already have those values, like he has one is forget ideology, because once you have those ideals, or once you have something that's so embedded into yourself, like you're not going to see um, what's outside, what's in the unknown, essentially.
mm,
So that's what I got from what you just said.
mm.
Like the moment you calculate or you predefine something, is the moment you're already limiting yourself to what can be,
Yeah,
attained. It's essentially like um, how we experienced life when we first, as from childhood. Everything that didn't make sense.
mm. Oh, this is also good. I recently listened to this book called "How Emotions Are Made,"
Oh yes,
and
that's on
the
my list.
author talked about we construct emotional concepts,
Mm.
because the classical way is fear is, and this is fear. You know, there's, but she's saying it's individual.
Yeah.
We have concepts, and it's a bit like, in Tagalog,
Hmm.
there's gigil. It has an equivalent in other languages. It's
It
very
doesn't. No.
Filipino.
Yeah. Yeah. Oliver, you've frozen there, so I'm just gonna do that.
Learn it.
Okay,
So we
you've
simulate
unfrozen
it.
now.
And
Okay.
it's a bit like in German, the Schadenfreude, which has become English now, where you feel good in someone's misfortune. So there's all these different emotional concepts in different cultures, and we learn them.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and it kind of freed me from, sometimes we talked about, I don't know if we talked about it before, I do suffer sometimes from depression, but now I could train myself. This is just a concept.
Yeah.
So so when so using words like triggered is not helpful, because it's saying that there's already a predefined mechanism in you,
Mm,
that if it's clicked like a domino, it's automatic. But now we're constructing emotions,
exactly.
that we
Yeah.
can really train. We could have new concepts to latch on our nervous system.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like, it's quite, it's a lot of, I don't know, it's weird, because I've also been, I just, for some reason it came up in my YouTube feed as well, about this constructor theory in quantum physics. Just,
Mm,
it seems that they're becoming more into the construction side of the world, more and more. Even memories, like, it's not like we save a memory like in a hard drive.
like a hard drive. Yeah.
Every time I remember something, I recreate it, I construct it again.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So even with memory, right? Um, because I relate it back to Jordan Peterson's book because I just finished it like a week or two ago. He talks about trauma and memory and re-exploring your memories essentially, and just understanding that your memory that you have like in childhood can be so much different than what you want if you re-explore it in adulthood. So he had this client, and she was going through like a traumatic experience dealing with what she went through in her childhood. Now, I'm not going to name the experience, but he essentially went through it with her, and by her own. But then again, has to be by your own conscious, willing choice to explore it. You can't really force someone to acknowledge, a problem that they have unless they're willing to. And this is what he did was sort of a mindful exercise, got her to breathe. This is why mindfulness and consciousness is so important. Is that you start to let's focus on the moment and get that thoughts on par, and then you sort of get them to recount it, recount that experience. And as they explore it on their own end with the new knowledge they've gained through, through adulthood and teenage years. So this person, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone that's going to read the book. Essentially gain experiences through her teenage years and also through adulthood, which helped to reframe the memory that she had as a child, to really come to an acceptance and like, oh, okay, so this is what might have actually happened. So her memory as a child, and she didn't really want to think about it because this was something that was so, essentially speaking, traumatic. Like you don't want to look there because there's something bad there, but avoiding that will only make it grow in the dark. And then so he like one of the rules was like, don't hide things in the fog. You wanna face the dragon head on, because at the end of the day, you look at any of the collective experiences, and even in movies, there's always a dragon, there's always this villain that the hero really. This is a hero's journey essentially from Joseph Campbell, right? That once you face that dragon willingly, you slay it. There's newfound knowledge to be gained from that experience. There's always a pot of gold to learn, and then that's the thing that this person learned from her memories is that they're very subjective. They can be reframed, and you can understand them a lot more only if you're willing to, though. But yes, that's a little side.
Trauma is really when you. No, it's great. It's when you energy stuck there, but if you go back to it and you just complete the throw, then the energy gets released.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is interesting. Like I don't want to spoiler alerts. I won't say the specific, but this kind of thing about trauma is being explored in the Handmaid's Tale, the latest episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which reminds me, it's a lot of. I've started to collect some clips from TV. It's about trauma. It's like a lot of them are now injecting this, like FBI, Clarice, and these things with this storyline. It's so good, but they do it in a way that's really well done.
Creative,
I'm really like.
I'm gonna give you a book recommendation, Oliver, in terms of trauma and suffering, that I've read a couple of months ago that talks about that will probably be good for what you're doing, essentially. Have you read The Power of Suffering by David Rowland?
No.
Yeah, so especially in this guy, David Rowland, he's local actually, he's from Sydney. He's a professor at University of USyd, and he is a psychologist that really looks into the nature of human suffering. So it goes through all of these traumatic experiences and recounts from actual, like, real survivors, and the trauma that they had to face through, and really the real ways they either tried to deal with that experience or So I'm not going to say any spoilers for this one, but what you were saying just then, and terms of like trauma and even just in pop culture and movies nowadays and TV, it's becoming a real source of, you know, entertainment, because everyone wants to, you know, it really, I feel like it gets deep into your own roots in terms of saying, like, you know, you're interested in it because it's sort of like, I don't think we're exposed to it enough nowadays because we're so safe and comfortable, and we don't have that, you know, fight or flight response really evoked a lot anymore, because, you know,
I mean, they get evoked, but in a weird kind of way.
Yeah.
Like they get evoked by public speaking, or worrying about your income, worrying about your Instagram feed. You know what I mean? They still get evoked, but in
the
different
dopamine
context.
hits. Oh, I didn't get enough likes on this photo.
Yeah, I got a bad comment, or
yeah.
or I'm being called out, or, you know, I'm being trolled.
Yeah, being trolled.
Even Jordan Peterson talks about how he's affected by that, you know.
Yeah. Did you see that Red Skull thing? How Marvel made him sort of a meme in terms of the latest comic. They compared him to Red Skull.
It's funny, like, so many people don't like him, but he's just saying things that make sense to me. I really don't get it.
Have you read his book, his latest edition?
No, I've read the previous one, the 12 Rules.
Okay, if you like that one, this one is amazing. So please.
What's your main? All right, we can't do that, but just give me some. Oh, you already mentioned some of it, but maybe add one more. Yeah.
I added one in with, you know, don't hide things in the fog. Essentially speaking, like in a relationship that if you're in, or say anyone in the workplace, or just anyone that you interact with in your life, like don't try to avoid the things that are in the fog, whether it's your problems or like a habit that's being built. You really want to make sure once you're aware of it, that you're taking some small steps to really, you know, set yourself up to confront the dragon that lurks, or the monster that lurks in the shadows, you know.
Go where the fear is, or something.
Go where the fear is. You have to, because if you don't, then it's better to know what's in the fog than to just go in there blindly. Essentially, that's all I'm going to say. But just my review on the book, like it's an awesome book. Like it's highly, like, there's a lot of Christian connotations in this book compared to 12 Rules for Life. Like he really relates on a psychological aspect, different aspects of the New Testament and Old Testament. And I really enjoyed that, because at the same time I was reading the Bible at the same time, and he was like really accounting for different sort of the different rules that he has. I'm not going to name all of them because it's a nice thing to not know them, and then, you know, that's how I tried to avoid spoilers as much as possible before I read this book.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's awesome rules in it, and I feel like top 2 rules would be the one: do not hide things in the fog, and then do not allow yourself to become deceitful, arrogant, or hateful. And then I won't really go into that because, you know, spoilers. But yeah, overall the book, like, it's a very serious tone. Like, it's not like you don't really get a crack a joke in it. Like I laughed at a couple of things in the book, but that's because it's my subjective how I read it. You know?
So there's no lobster in the book.
yeah. I actually wanted to talk about something interesting too, with Jordan Peterson. He had this sort of response to, like, if he believed in God. And then, like, really, like, he had this moment where he sort of froze, and he said, have you seen the clip?
I act as if I believe in God. Is it
Yeah. But then there's another one, I think it was separate to that, where he just freezes, and then he was like, he doesn't know how he would act if he did exist. Like, you could see, like, he was really like, and then I believe, like, he said that because, like, if you look at all of the gods in the history book, he was the only one that has really subjective and objective evidence that he existed. Like, the recounts of the Bible was, you know, fundamentally, if you believe that it's true, you know. But it really got me thinking too, because, you know, in our world, in our realm, right? It's everything is objective. Like we use the five senses a lot to base our reality on it. But the other thing is consciousness, and subjective things that we can't really explain through the five senses. So for example, I pick up this book, right? I can see it, I can smell it, I'm not going to lick it and taste it. I can touch it, I can feel it, I can use
You
all the
can.
five senses, I can listen to it. But you see here, like I can see that there's text there, but how do I like read it? That's all subjective, right? And that's sort of how you can recount like the events of, you know, of Genesis and like the Old Testament, New Testament, like there had to be a significant event such time ago that, you know, because like look at all their history, it's the oldest book in history, and if they believed it that much and it's been recounted that much, there had to be something that started. So that's why I that really tripped me out when he said something like that. That's what I took from what he said, and I was like, yeah, that is pretty.
But I think the Upanishads are older, and the Babylonians
Yeah,
way back they wrote other stuff, yeah, as well.
yeah, but think
Um,
about it. That book, like the Bible, just it lasted so long. Like it outlasted like civilizations. Like how, you know? Anyways, that's sort of my thinking.
I mean,
Sort of had with that.
yeah, but I mean, there's also parts of it that they excluded, and I think those are I've been listening to some people discuss the Gospel of Magdalene,
Ooh.
the more esoteric ones
Yeah. Okay.
that the church excluded because they didn't want for some reason they wanted celibacy. I don't know, they wanted Jesus not to have sex. It's so weird. I mean, if you're God and you're gonna live as a human, why would you forgo sex? It's ridiculous.
It's basically it's life, you know.
Yeah, why would you not experience it? Or how can you understand being human if you don't feel everything? Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's always happens. People are afraid
Yeah.
of this thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to we were sort of that was awesome. That was an awesome discussion. Go back to I really want to hear about what you've been up to. So for like those listening, you went from, you know, all these secure jobs, right? Just to recount, and now you're sort of just free, right? But in an aspect where you're like, you know, you're doing one. Let's talk about one and two. One is your acting gigs right now, because yeah, I'm interested to see how your Netflix can I say anything like that, or is that still like you can't talk about it?
No, I
The
mean
Netflix TV
it's out
show.
there. It's out public info that it's being made here.
Okay, good.
It's not out yet. So
Okay.
it's pieces of her. So, and yeah, I was an interesting experience. I was a
Yeah, talk
background
about.
actor in the pilot. So and it was an awesome experience because they were very professional. Everything, in the set, there's so many things happening and so many
Yeah,
people, and each person knew what to do.
yeah.
It ran like a smooth organism. It's like so good. I wish
So,
more things in the world. I wish more things in the world work like that. Where, yeah. So I have high regards now for people who actually make TV shows. It's not easy because they're doing it quickly and they shoot every day, and then you move because you move sets and the details. That they made this part of the Central Coast look like America. It's ridiculous from the look, from the menu, from the vehicles, from the costumes. It's amazing.
would you say they work transdisciplinary?
Oh yeah, man. Like
Little BCI plug
tandem.
right there.
Yeah, that's real transdisciplinarity. Like, I don't know.
Cool.
We did the course, but even the course we did, it's still wedded to the different disciplines. It's weird. I think academics find it hard to get out of this thinking.
It's hard because you have to measure it. You know, you have to measure like how do you grade or
Yeah, like,
or
and also
facilitate
like
the learning journey of
there's
that.
politics involved, like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you know what I mean.
fiefdoms within the academia. Some, hang on,
Oh, good. Yeah,
I'm
because you
reading
know
this
this.
book.
Oh, what's that? I can't say it.
Ooh, I guess of the
That uh, technology. It's like you're holding. What?
it's
What?
disappearing. It's Education in a Time Between Worlds by Zachary Stein. It's an
Okay.
interesting. It's talking about actually most of the problems of the world can be solved by fixing education.
Mm.
Yeah,
Now I
it's
firmly believe
broken.
that.
It's broken.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah.
founding fathers of America noticed
Mm.
that if you want a democracy to work, you have to educate the people. Because they're the
Exactly.
ones making the decisions.
Mm.
And if they're not educated, then they can easily be swayed by what's happening now everywhere. Right?
You give them the power to know consciously what's what's happening, to make decisions, take that info, and really, make the right one, make the right decision.
So,
Obviously.
yeah, it's even beyond that. Don't poison the commons, which is what's happening now. They're politicizing science itself.
Mm.
Like a virus is a virus. Why is it? How can a virus become political? Because I really don't like when people say everything is political. We don't want that. it's,
Mm.
gonna, it's gonna ruin it. It's gonna be the end of civil. It can be the end of life if we make everything political.
Mm. But then again, right?
Yeah.
Like it's such a blessing. Well, not a blessing, but like we're so lucky to have politics nowadays. You look 100 years or 200 years ago, like instead of politics, what is there? It's war. You know, if we didn't have that structure
No, but
there.
politics leads to war too. It depends
Yeah,
on
exactly. It's
how
a
do we
double-edged sword.
define it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
yeah.
Oh. So how are you reading the book, or are you like halfway through it, or is that you finished it? Like how is it? How is your experience with the book going
It's a
now?
series of essays, and I'm reading it slowly. And like now, I'm on the chapter where it talks about measurement. And measurement is key. And in the beginning, he talked about everything in your life involves measuring. Like when you wake up, the clock.
Yeah.
Everything in this room was made to standards, gauges, and but it's also it makes us enjoy things in life, but in a way it can also oppress people, like the people who made this in the factory somewhere.
Yeah.
Are making it to standards. And I realized that, like when I did this cleaning job with these people, the beautiful thing with that experience is I actually resigned from that now, but while I was doing it, I really enjoyed, one, I got to interact with people I would not normally meet because they're outside my usual circles. That was really good. Two, I really got an appreciation of the working class. These people, we just go there, we do it, and then we go home. Whereas when I was in corporate, there's a lot of posturing. And here it's like, it's either I can, when in hotels you do the heat that's really flat.
Yeah.
And then you put the duna. So either I can do that or not. I cannot argue with the bed. I cannot do politics with the bed. Like, oh, you have to be straight because you're left or you're right. I cannot do it physically or not. There's a beauty in that, there's a certain objectivity. You're talking about that. It's hard to be subjective when you're banging against solid objects.
Yeah.
When you're in the realm of atoms, it's a different world than when you're in the realm of bits. It's easy to confuse people in the realm of bits because it's all fantasies. But when you hit real limits of physics,
it's like a sort of that example. I saw a meme
that too.
I saw a meme on Twitter where it's where it's just a gif of like a guy just punching his computer screen because he lost everything from the big crypto crash. So they're like, you know, it's your value of the money is on that screen, but like, you know, objectively, like, smash the screen. What's that gonna do? You know, it's.
Did you get into this crypto craze?
Yes, I did put
Ah,
a couple of XYZ on Ethereum and another one on XRP because I was really just curious,
how
essentially.
was the
I did make a
experience
bit
for
of
you?
I did make a bit of money, then I did lost money, and then I made money back, and then now I don't even look at it. I just leave it there. Just as an experience, right, of just crypto. It's interesting. It really challenges like your own like your own behavior and your own like greed and like you're willing to test like you know of your awareness of it because in I remember in second year BCII, I think at first. Do you remember Joe?
Yeah.
Shout out to Joe Mendozona. He was I remember just seeing him in class with his Mac in one of the BCI summer schools, and he was like, I'm like, what are you doing, bro? He's like, I'm mining Bitcoin, bro. I was like, what? What's Bitcoin? He's like, yeah, you should invest in it. You should get some Bitcoin. Like I reckon it's gonna be huge. And I was like, the hell are you talking about? Cryptocurrency? And it's like, yeah. And I was like, I remember talking to Angelo Gajo about it, and he's like, I don't know, dude, that looks so sketch. Something similar. And then yeah, he told us essentially to like put money on it. And if we listened to him, he was at like, I don't know, like what was it, $25.
I wonder if he cashed out already. Because until he
Yeah,
cashed out,
I should
it's still
really, I'll message him. I want to have a
theoretical.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was
Mm.
literally mining it. He was like the first person I even heard of like what crypto was. So I'm wondering how he's going on that with that right now. Yeah, he had that mindset that yeah, this is going to be huge,
I
and so
mean, I heard about it way. It's become
Oliver, you've lagged, so I'm just going to try to copy your I'm going to lag too.
This is what happens when you talk about crypto. The internet freezes you.
uh, that's some scary stuff. I think it's because I have my Google connected. My Google what do you call it? What's that? No, I'm completely gone mind blank. What's that Google device that talks to you? I
Hey
forgot what. Huh?
Google,
Sorry.
see
Yeah. What's it called?
it.
What's it called?
Hey Google,
Hey Google, what are you called?
Okay. I'm your Google Assistant. I can help with exchange rates.
Look, it's talking about exchange rates while I was just
hey
talking about
Google,
crypto.
who are you? Hey Google, who are you?
I'm your Google Assistant, and I can play Lucky Trivia with you.
But did you see that thing, experiment where they were talking about something with Google listening, and then they started getting ads about it? It's interesting. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Anyways, what were we talking about? Because oh yeah, yes, your hotel job.
Yeah. So so that finished, and you were asking me about why I'm doing this is
Yeah,
it's an experiment in anti-fragility.
anti-fragility.
So there are things that are fragile.
Mm-hmm.
What's the opposite of fragile? So things that are fragile is if I'm gonna send like a
Oh,
vase to the
oh,
Philippines, I have to say fragile,
yeah.
handle with care, so
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't break.
Yeah.
So what's the opposite of fragile?
This.
Hmm?
This.
What do you that?
Durable. Strong.
Robust, durable.
Robust, durable, robust.
It's
Yeah.
not actually the opposite, because if
Oh, really?
something's robust, you just don't write, or durable, you don't write anything, because
Yeah.
if you send it, it will be the same.
Mm-hmm.
But the opposite of fragile is anti-fragile. If
Oh.
it's anti-fragile, you're right. Please mishandle me.
Yeah.
So in
What?
Nassim Taleb wrote this book, and it's an amazing book. I read him way back with Black Swan, Fooled by Randomness, and then he wrote this thing called He invented the word because there's no word in English. This is the opposite of fragile. And the way a good explanation is mythology. So fragile is, the sword of Damocles.
Oh,
It's a
yes.
sword hanging by the hair of a horse.
Yeah.
So if that breaks, you're dead.
Dead. Yeah.
So in a way, Nassim also said there's nothing more dangerous than and addictive than heroin and a monthly salary. And it's fragile because once you lose your job and you've loaded all your lifestyle in this salary and it's cut off, you break. To a lot of people that happens. The middle is robust. It's like the phoenix.
Yeah.
You kill it, it becomes the same again. You kill it, it's the same. Anti-fragile is hydra. You cut one head and then two comes up.
Oh.
It actually becomes better after a certain point. And when you were showing your muscles, he did discover that a lot of biological things is anti-fragile. You actually need to stress our bones
to grow.
Yeah, like if you go to space, your bones atrophy because it's not getting the. So in terms of income, people who have variable income and able to survive for years are becoming anti-fragile because we can swim in the volatility. I mean, it's not easy because like if you panic, you have to keep on making small bets.
Yeah.
And then eventually one of these little bets will pay off. And then that sustains you for a longer period and it's like keep going to auditions and once in a while you go on a Bonds ad. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the losses are capped. Whereas the opposite is like during the GFC, the insurers who were insuring the derivatives, they were getting fixed income from the insurance premiums, but then their losses are uncapped. So when the subprime mortgages collapse, because they were collecting the premium, they were very fragile.
Yeah.
But Silicon Fragile invested some small money in startups in America. If I invested 10 grand, for example, or 100, but if that company becomes the next Google, then you know what I mean? Like, so it's the anti-fragile strategy is to have your losses fixed, but then the upside, and but the upside so that you can ride the black swan of the upside. So the unknowns. It's basically going to the unknown for
on purpose, consciously, right? Oliver, I lost you again for 5 seconds.
So anyway, if you play crypto right, if you played crypto right, you could just get you could just have a. One thing I don't like about it is when it eats up all your time, when everyone's just reading and.
Yeah,
I don't know.
because you have to do a lot of research on the coin.
What skill do you need?
Sorry?
Yeah, or even stock market. I don't find it exciting because I'm not developing real skills.
Yeah, it's sort of I mean there is skills to be developed from it. You can You can learn how to, you know, really diversify what you have, and then you sort of look
Yeah.
at the trends. It's all guessing, and you don't really develop. It's
Yeah.
essentially
Unless you're
another version of
programming.
it.
If you're making a
Yeah,
coin, that's another
unless
thing.
you're programming,
Yeah.
getting the code, you know, what was Joe doing? Bloody mining the Bitcoin.
Yeah.
um, but even what you said about anti-fragility,
Mm.
I'm gonna relate it back to an experience that I've just been having the past month or so. I've been doing, I've did the Wim Hof method, but I've been doing it
Mm.
wrong. Okay, so I've been reading this book, and it's like, I'm just gonna go through some of the findings that I learned from it. But basically, you think of Wim Hof, the first thing you hear is what? Like, what do you
Ice
know about him?
bath.
Ice bath,
I've
right? He's
done
an
it a few
Iceman.
times. Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing, right?
Mm.
And you consciously like making yourself, you know, anti-fragile in that aspect when you
Mm.
jump, or you consciously decide, hey, I'm going to have a cold shower, um, because you know you really you consciously want to stress yourself in that aspect, you know, and you're making yourself anti-fragile in the aspect. Now I'm going to go through what he talks about in the method or in his book, so a little bit of spoilers, but not really. When you take a cold shower, right? What happens is within you, essentially, what Wim found out is you know you have your vascular system, right? You have millions and millions of little tiny muscles contracting, expanding, but because we wear clothes now, because we are so comfortable with heaters, we're so comfortable with, like, you know, with all these what do you call it, comforts, that we've actually become weaker in the aspect of, you know, autoimmune diseases are one of the most number one killers, essentially, you know, anything to do with autoimmunity. And it's because we become fragile to it, you know. We don't really stress ourselves in nature anymore. Like but what a cold shower essentially does is, well, I'm not saying just jump in a cold shower now, but maybe you should do it. Is, you know, it forces you to breathe. It activates your vascular system, millions everywhere. You don't really have time to think, like, because all you want to do is you want to breathe, you survive. But then something amazing happens at the end of that cold shower. You come out and you're like, whoa, you feel mentally it's so much different. Like, so if anyone's listening right now, number one thing that I want everyone to do is like at least 30 seconds of shower after a warm shower. You'll guaranteed 100% you'll feel a big difference.
Yeah, I do that. And today I went to, yeah, we were chatting at 5 a.m. because I went to Maroubra to dance in the cold.
Really? Oh
the
my
rock.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's so
god. I literally
good.
just came out of a
The
cold
wind,
shower
to
before.
feel the wind.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
to be in the elements.
to bring up that anti-fragility, right? To work those, you know, to just do something outside of the ordinary, and really like, okay, what was the number one motivation for you to wake up at that time when everyone else would rather sleep in, and the cold, it was so cold this morning, like when you wake up, and then you went to the beach to just.
Yeah, and I took, and I don't drive. I don't have a car at the moment. I do drive, but I don't have a car at the moment. But I took 2 buses to get there as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you do essentially?
So this time it was my playlist that was playing. We just play the thing, and we just dance on the rock in Mistral Point.
So did you see the sunrise as it was going up?
As I was on my way. It's beautiful, the sunrise.
And then, so what did you dance in? Just like in shorts?
No, I was in like this, but then it gets hot, and then you remove.
I thought when you first said it, I was like, we're full Wim Hof way, just full in your undies, like dancing in the bloody.
I mean, you could do it. Some people were swimming. I saw them in the pool, in the rock pool. You know?
Oh wow!
Yeah, people do that here in Mosman. People in the morning they go on the beach.
So what was the one desire for you to do that? Like, what is it? Like, obviously, there was something pushing you to wake up, 1, at that time, 2, get out of bed, which is the probably hardest part for everyone else, and then 3, catch 2 buses to get there by X time. Like, what was that? Like why?
I mean, to me, it's not a problem because I don't have a 9-to-5 job. So and time on the bus, I listen. Either I
Like,
listen to podcasts or
yeah.
audiobook
Mhm.
or
But like
read a
dancing
physical
there, right?
book.
Like, what did you feel?
Dancing is it's just so it's just a
Because
good
you connected to
community.
that, right?
Yeah, and dancing really. So I do dancing, and after the dancing, we actually also did singing lessons over Zoom.
Yeah.
So all these things regulate my nervous system.
There you go. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, this is something about regulate. It's like another thread we could follow the polyvagal theory, where we have this weather, and the vagus nerve goes from the top to the bottom, and it's to be aware: am I in flight mode or in freeze mode, or am I
In
in
creative, yeah.
vagal, where it's social and connecting? Like when I did the Wim Hof in one of the festivals, my singing teacher was there, and she was singing with me, and I said it's impossible to get cold if you're singing because you're regulated.
Yeah.
You can't sing if you're frightened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my experience with the ice bath is like my body thinks it's gonna die, but then I know it's only for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's really talking to my body that it's okay, you're not gonna die. I got you. Same with yoga. When you do all these weird poses, like, is this? I can break my bones, or this is not comfortable. But then I tell my body, no. If you stay enough, it will be good. It's like the dialogue with your body, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
and with the method, I think the breathing helps a lot. Like by the time we went to the ice, we've been heavy breathing, doing all this breathing that the cells are saturated with oxygen, right? And like,
and you're literally controlling like this is what was so groundbreaking from Wim Hof's point of view, right? Is that breathing technique that he discovered. Is like we have our conscious, our mind, we have the ability to, you know, tell our body, tell ourselves, like to even it was just science breaking too as well. Like this scientist, they thought he was like a skeptic. You know, when he first started, everyone would have, right? And it's like, oh, and then it turned into it turned into him being, oh, well, maybe he's just one of a kind, right? And then it came to him leading a group of individuals through ice cold mountains that they started to realize he's onto something here, you know. But yeah, walk through that. Like how was it? How did it feel? Like take us through the moment you decided to go into that ice bath, and then what were you feeling, and then how did you feel afterwards? Like what was your like objective experience with that?
Oh yeah, it's like when I went in, the body, I felt like pins and needles, you know, everywhere. But then I just breathe and I just let it. You know, it's a bit like you know, in the Dune novels, it's like the Bene Gesserit have this litany against fear. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. I will face my fear and let it pass through me. And when it has gone through, nothing, only I will remain. You know, so it's like it's a bit like that. It's like this will pass, and when it's done, I will remain. And then I just didn't move. And then until they brought me out, and then we did the movement, and then we jumped into the river naked. It's good. It was a clothing optional event.
You must have felt so alive, right? Like in that moment, there's no other feeling that you'd be thinking of. You're just sort of like, time's like what I feel when I do that stuff is like time literally stands still. Like I remember the first time
it's a flow state. It's a flow state. It's
literal
like,
flow state, right? It's like
chicks in the
all your warriors. The first time I did it, it's like all my warriors just disappeared, like that, you know. And then I feel like every time I've been doing it now, like 4:40 in the morning, like just taking straight cold shower. Like I started obviously like you start warm and then you go 30 seconds and you start to build the tolerance from it because the shock starts to disappear over time. And that what happened is you're becoming anti-fragile, as you said. Over time, your body starts getting used to the shock. It starts, you know, getting developed from that. And then out of nowhere, you'll get to a point where it's sort of like even the elite of elite is probably Wim Hof. Like he's been doing it for 25 years. That is crazy. But yeah, it's like we are like limitless in it in terms of our potential. Like if you might set your mind to doing something and consciously like set and face, what's in the fog, face that dragon, face your, and not becoming fragile to where not even using it. Like it's like even just going to the gym for me. It's sort of like if you don't use it, you lose it, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the book, one of the other books I'm listening to now is Stealing Fire by Jamie Wheel and I forgot this other guy's name.
Healing Fire by Jamie
And they
Wheel.
talk about, yeah, and they talk about the these states, this flow states, and where it's timeless, effortless.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we get to the extreme human potential? And like in the beginning chapters, they talk about the Navy SEALs, the elite Navy SEALs. Because they wanted to be objective in a way, so they looked at how much is spent in training these people. It's ridiculous. Like one Navy SEAL is like millions of dollars in equipment, in training, and you filter people. But at the end of the day, what they value with these people is when they become one organism. Where like, it's an amazing, if we could just adopt this in, like, they have dynamic leadership. So like when you're when you're moving when you're in a mission, so these are the elite amongst. So the Navy SEALs are already elite among the military, but this is the elite among the Navy SEALs, and they're the ones who have to rescue hostages and have them alive. So not just kill people, but extract them when they're guarded by all these people. So apparently they have like dynamic leadership where whoever has the most knowledge is the leader. So there's not like ranking. It's like they're one organism, and so they go into this state where the self disappears. It's a bit like when you do the eyes.
Yeah.
Like my ego disappears, and I'm just part of this one team. And that's why they from day one they have swim buddies. And the rule is never leave your body. Whatever happens, you keep them, because that's where they're training. Because in really extreme situations, there's no time to think. There's no time to talk. It must be like split. And the only way to do that, if you're not panicking, you're not conscious of, oh, am I doing the right thing? It's when I had my eyes closed, and
Oliver, I've
I
lost
had
you.
this.
Last 5 seconds. You're frozen on my screen. Can you hear me? You're like frozen on my screen, and it's funny. It's sort of like you're like dancing. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Oliver is the host now. I can see your profile picture, which is pretty cool. You still here?
I'm back.
Okay.
I can hear you. I see you turn on your.
I like that picture you have, like going within. What was that photo?
What was it? What do I have?
You have a photo. You're in nature. You have a robe of some kind on your head, and you're like closed, and your eye, if you can see me, like your hands like this, and you're like within. It's like a full high res pic of it. It's cool, pretty cool.
Cool. I can't see you. Let me see.
Hold on, I'll okay. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
Anyway, so you were talking about the Navy SEAL program, and then they were stuck. They stay in Jewel, never leave behind. That's the last thing I heard.
Yeah, and then it's really about this state where this is not the I think I talked about that. I don't know if I talked about that in the past, where Osho also said that like everything is when I am not. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. And they also talk about they this Burning Man with them. It's like all these cool stories.
Have you heard of you probably have heard of him, David Goggins?
Yeah, only in the Akira, the Don. He clips all these people speaking, including Jordan Peele, makes them into music. And David
Yeah.
Goggins is there. Really good.
Yeah, he I haven't read the book, but I heard it's really good. It's on my to read list. It's called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Basically, I feel like it's good for as a theme if we were talking about anti-fragility.
Yeah.
As a concept, he would be like a pioneer for it, because this guy set records, and he's been through the Navy SEAL program multiple times. It's so hard to pass it once. He's done it through multiple variants, and he's been called the hardest mother in the room, like essentially. So I'll like send you a few clips and podcasts of him, but he talks about his experiences in the Navy SEAL, how he really navigated all of that, and like his past, etc. He's such an interesting fellow. So if you haven't heard of him, I 100% guarantee you'll enjoy his story and just what he has to say, because it's very, it's like he's got high energy. He's that sort of high energy person that sort of and it sort of grasps.
Yeah, I heard him in some of those clips. It's really, and also
Yeah.
Jocko Willing, another person.
Oh
who's
yeah,
in Iraq. So yeah. Just to
Yeah.
learn about being in extreme situations
Conditions.
and
Yeah.
extreme states, and how people don't lose their shit, you know.
All right, I think we should end it there, Oliver. Like it's been so insightful, and it's
Yeah.
like I'm looking at the time now, and I'm like, oh, like it didn't feel like it went for that long.
How long have we been going?
I think we started at probably an hour and something. We'll see it in the recording.
Right.
Um,
It felt like we were just starting. Amazing.
Yeah.
We weren't slow.
But yeah, thanks for I learned so much from that, and hopefully you did too, and
Do it
of
again.
course everyone
Yeah.
listening as well. Did you want to end it on anything? Did you want to speak about anything before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I just wanna perhaps say, if let's do it. Everyone should just see how far we can extend the human potential, because I think it feels to me that there's a lot of critical people that
Yes.
all they do is try to criticize thing, or it'd be cool if you could just have this comment. And I think that the days of that it's becoming boring now, where all you
Yeah.
could do is trying to bring that down. Let's just go forward and see where we could take this human experiment,
Yeah.
It's becoming boring just being critiques of everything. It's all about the system. But what is system? It's made of people. If all people are good, then there's no. If not, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
I guess
that.
I guess it's a call. It's a call for more excitement, possibilities, instead of people talk about boundaries. You cross boundary, but it's good to keep the boundary and protect your boundary. But I'm also wanna see people talking about horizon. What's possible? What's the infinite game? We keep coming back to that. What's there that's never been done before?
Yeah, like even that,
horizon.
what can you do right now that like will really shake things up? Like I think a lot of people nowadays, we're getting so used to routine, and you know,
Yeah.
like even it's all a system, like what your values are, and like and just spending your energy. Like we started the session today, like we're talking about like like how are you going, like you know, and the response is good, but like really even just starting with that question, like where's your energy, where are you spending all your energy at? Is it like criticizing it, or is it like it's good to criticize something, you know, if you wholeheartedly know that like something's wrong, by all means you're supposed to defend that. But like if it's something that's not, don't become an energy vampire.
That's true. Don't. I mean, be a cool vampire. Word.
Yeah. Don't suck everyone's like energy out of
Yeah. Or vampire Lestat and
Yeah.
all this interesting space. Dracula was cool. Anyway,
Sorry?
that's another story. You know the movie Dracula with them.
Oh yes.
And Winona Ryder. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's
But
good
don't
point.
be a vampire. Don't shock.
And
Create more energy instead
how
of
are you going to someone? Next time you say how you going to someone, like actually, like, you know, start with a different question. Like what's exciting? Like that's I love talking to you, Oliver, because you always start with a question I don't know. Like when we haven't talked in months, it feels like we haven't, like we just spoke yesterday, you know. That's awesome. And I learned so much from your experience. I feel like I'm learning it like at an accelerator rate, you know. And then that's amazing. Really.
I'm happy in Doug because both reading stuff on our own, but it only comes your face, you know.
Yeah, it connects and then sort of
because it gets pulled out. It gets pulled out. You throw back to me.
Yeah.
I have more books to read from your recommendations. And
all right. Well,
how about you? What do you want to say to end? I'm done.
Okay.
Maybe you want to tie Devin this one.
I'd say whether it's a cold shower or waking up earlier or whichever, don't become that person that says, you know, oh, I want to do that. That'd be cool to do that and not do it. Like don't get too, like, become aware that you're too comfortable, but like, you know, challenge yourself. Go a little bit outside of what you're comfortable with, you know. Start building that anti-fragility for yourself, right? Like for me, you don't have to do it, but I recommend it. Wim Hoff Method, like breathing and simple cold shower can really drastically change. Like very rarely has a book affected me this much, or not even just a book, but like a method. But like Wim Hof, like the cold shower, like try, if you haven't had taken a cold shower before, even if it's winter or summer, wherever you're listening from, just try it. 30 seconds. And after 30 seconds, you can decide, oh, I like this or I don't like this. But I guarantee you, like, you're gonna like it. Like, don't go back to a hot shower. But yeah, that's so. Yes, that's all I have to say. Take a cold shower. Or
awesome.
What Bob says, breathe, motherfucker.
All right, bro. Awesome.
Right. Catch you guys later.
Yeah.
Catch us on our socials and yes.
Yeah. Message us or something. I don't know.
Connect. See you in
do stuff.
the digital realm.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our video. I hope you really enjoyed the content and everything that we discussed. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us a comment on the links below, as well as check out some of Oliver's stuff. I've put his YouTube just on the description for you guys to check out. And I know I haven't been uploading on the Goku Bra channel, so please keep in mind I have new gym and lifting and aesthetic lifestyle sort of videos coming up on this channel, with some collaborations coming up as well. If there's anything you want me to cover in the future videos, please let me know. Otherwise, feel free to check out my future podcasts that I'll be putting on the Jerwin Parker channel, which will sort of steer clear from lifting and talk about more personal development, professional, all things marketing, entrepreneurship, That is sort of my go-to. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy and stay safe.